37, and there's an instructional book right on the other side, the one with the green trim, that's by Viola Cecile, who was actually the woman that brought together everyone, the other 11 women for the original meeting where they founded the National Mahjong League. Viola Cecile. Viola Cecile, like C-C-I-L. And then we have a National Mahjong, like a newsletter that came out for the 25th anniversary, and it's interesting because it tells you some of their charitable activities, like it lists sending underprivileged children to summer camp, offering a canteen from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. for servicemen in New York, as well as like medical research and other philanthropic kind of missions that they had. And this is also a good case to kind of look at the variety of different tiles that exist. I particularly like that gold sparkly one.
Is this Bakelite here?
Yeah, the yellow.
The yellowish ones
plastic.
are Bakelite?
Yeah.
And I thought, was Dorothy Meyerson, she started the league, wasn't it her rules that were used? You're saying it's this Viola Cecile?
Well, no, it wasn't necessarily her rules. She just, a lot of different people wrote kind of instructional booklets, not like a rule book, but a book to tell you how to play. And she was the one that brought people together.
Viola.
Yeah.
And they were all Jewish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the committee, right?
Yeah. And there's the photo of some of the women over there.
So I think this is one example where if you're looking at this vitrine here, you can reference this picture. Judy asked a question about would we tour all the totems first and then look at what else is around, and I think let's talk about that after the main part of the walkthrough, but I think that there's going to be opportunities where you kind of go back and forth because there's a thematic connection.
Oh, and I forgot to talk about the CD players. So there's one there, one there, one there, and each one, you just pull the cord, like a visitor can pull the cord, and it plays for 2 to 3 minutes, and then it shuts off automatically. So there's no like regulations. People can just pull them whenever they want.
Are they the same?
Okay, that's explained. The one over there, it's kind of music and like vintage music, people reminiscing about Mahjong and what it means to them. And then this one.
That one's music, vintage music, and reminiscences about Mahjong.
Specifically moving towards like Chinese Mahjong, so it has the sounds of Chinese Americans playing Mahjong.
Sound of Chinese Americans playing Mahjong.
Chinese New Year's festival.
And sounds from the Chinese
And
New Year
then the
Festival.
last one is the sounds of Jewish American women playing Mahjong.
And that's the one near the near the front of the gallery over there.
Looks like Bakelite. I'm not certain that it is, but the one with the sparkles and the white really looks like it should be Bakelite. That's what I remember of my friend's Bakelite.
Yeah, unfortunately they didn't give us a lot of specific information about the items in the cases, so it's kind of just conjecture trying to figure out what they're made out of.
These two look like Bakelite. I could definitely identify it, but the one with the sparkles on the one side and the one with the green and the white, they really look like they could both be
And what about the yellowish ones?
You know, I think this is really important to note that, and it's Jean just said this too, we don't have a ton of information about the specific objects in these cases because we're so used to, in a museum, having the object information, the materials, the year, the this or that, and these are not treated as artifacts and art objects in the same way that other objects that we get in this museum are. They're really meant to create kind of an atmosphere or a feeling or to evoke a certain period of time. So we'll try to get the information that we can, but we might just not know that it's Bakelite or plastic or bone or whatever. It's just this is a variety of Mahjong tools. These are each like little stories in these cases. So I understand that we're used to having this information, but we might have to just kind of let go and think about the bigger visual story that these objects tell without knowing all of the specifics.
So the last case focuses on
Jones Home.
Mahjong on vacation. So this side is a little bit more, the swizzle sticks are from resorts in Miami, and then photos of a hotel in Palm Beach. And here we have the carrying case with mahjong set, as well as like a card mahjong, which is obviously easier to pack with you. And then on this side is has to do with the Catskills culture. And I looked through the little viewfinders, and it's just photos of like an older couple kind of posing at dinner in a Catskills resort, and like standing in a ballroom. It doesn't necessarily relate specifically to mahjong. So yeah, that kind of just sets a scene, and here we have some photos of women playing.
So what's the pictures inside those things? I can't remember what they're called.
The viewfinders?
Yeah, the viewfinders.
It's like it's an older couple that are kind of
okay.
posed at dinner.
Okay.
Standing.
What about the sticks?
Like, did they put them in the drinks or something?
No, they look like xylophone.
Yeah, I think they might just be kind of like souvenirs that were given away or something, maybe from people.
Oh, it says Concord Hotel.
Yeah, it has the name of the hotel written.
No.
And then there's the table in the center, and there's a little sign that says, you've probably already been over this, but you can sign up online to play mahjong. And then if no one signed up for that day, visitors can go check in at the...
Hey guys, actually this is really important information, so let's all gather around. We're almost done, but visitors might ask you about this, so this is important. People will be playing mahjong in the gallery, and if nobody is signed up, you can sign up online. You can go and sign up and check out a mahjong set at the front desk. So if someone asks you, oh, can I play? They can check with the front desk, and if there's room, they can come and play. But that's another kind of tricky thing during your tour, is that you might have literally a mahjong game creating the atmosphere in the space. So
it's
Jean, was there any other
online,
information you wanted to add?
Go to the CJM website.
There's on the Project Mahjong exhibition page, there's a sign up to play.
CJM.me, thecjm.me/playmaj, MAHJ.
I'm signed up to play with my friends, and they want to set a second table.
Sorry.
So you said sets, but really it's for one set because it's just one.
Can only play one game here.
Yeah.
What are the holes in the table?
The table expands to make a bigger table.
But we're not doing that.
I believe that's correct.
Was there anything to add about Maj in the gallery, Jean?
Right.
That I didn't cover?
I don't think so. I mean, if people didn't sign up online, they can go and see if there are open slots at the ticket desk, and then if there are, they can play right away.
Okay. Yeah.
If the words mahjong are trademarked, why are they in lowercase all over the gallery? Wouldn't they be in capital M?
With the TM. That is a good question.
Trademark might have run out by now if it was like made in the 20s.
Yeah.
Huh. Will you add that to my list? I don't know. I mean, I know that the exhibition, the curators standardized how it's written in the gallery, and we've standardized how it's written in all of our materials, our press materials. I don't know. Maybe because we're talking about the game rather than a game of mahjong rather than the box set game of mahjong. I don't know.
It looks like Babcock used a hyphen, so if we're not using the hyphen, we're not trademarked. Then we're not
MAH-JONGG. Okay, we're not using his spelling.
Okay. Could you just tell us a little about the exhibit at the Heritage?
Well, Jean can tell you more than I can, but it was exactly, I mean, this came to us in a package, essentially.
Where did it
It
come
was
from?
pretty much exactly this exhibition, except it didn't have that work because we added that here, but I don't think anything else is.
Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York
And the work on
curated
the
it.
wall around also were original?
It's the same work on the wall that they had in
That
their
they have.
show.
Myra Palmer.
Everything's the same except for Ayman Ye.
Yeah.
And what about these images here? Do we know what they
Oh,
are
it's on loan from-
around the
Well, they're
totem?
just,
I see the dots for the numbers, but the images themselves, the Chinese lettering, is there any significance to it?
you know, I don't know exactly what each character means. They're just reproductions of the set of the mahjong.
So those would be cracks and
Cracks
dragons.
and
This is the bird, that's the one for bamboo, right?
Right, yeah. Flowers and so on.
I I think Sunny is. You know the security
Oh.
guard, Sunny. He was like telling me.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get him to read the characters for us. Jean, anything else to add?
Did we do the sixth totem?
Oh, the generation to generation.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So the last totem is really just kind of setting the scene of a mahjong party. I think it's kind of the most whimsical. There's this apron with the mahjong tiles, and then the jello. And you can see the ring gels are actually kosher for Passover. And then this cookbook is for wartime cooking. So I just took a look through it, and it doesn't sound very delicious. A lot of jello and mayonnaise and rationing your fruit. A little bit of fruit, canned fruit, more than fresh fruit. Yeah.
The ring gels are the same people who make the halva.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Joya does a lot of kosher
Oh, yeah.
and Middle Eastern kind of.
And then there's the sherbet cup, which I guess Rennie was saying he remembers like that kind of design from his mother in the 50s.
It's not one sherbet cup. There she is.
I'm actually on staff and I'm filming this for
Okay.
education purposes.
Okay.
So I know you're supposed to, and I've told them all, these are all of our tour guides, no photography in the gallery. But that's just, we're just doing it so people can get sick. Thank you.
Thanks for doing your job.
Thank you, I know.
Is that a Tupperware one?
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
So what questions, let's see, what time is it?
11:45.
Okay, what questions do we have either for Jean or do we want to address as a group in terms of the exhibition or touring?
Do the CDs also turn off if you pull the cord again? Like,
Yeah, I think they turn off when people, but they also turn off by themselves.
no, I know, but it's
Well,
like,
I'll check and see.
just as I can hear it in the background.
Yes.
Also.
Okay, good.
Good thinking,
Yeah, it's not going to
somebody.
be a quiet gallery for touring.
No.
But that can help.
Yeah. So the question came up, Judy asked about touring all the the totems in order versus mixing it up. I don't know, probably I would mix it up. I don't know if other people have other ideas for approaches that you want to share.
Are they called totems for any specific reason?
I think because they look like a totem pole.
Okay.
But they also are reminiscent of the tile, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And also, the relationship between the Jews and the Jews and the Chinese, I never really heard that before. Is that an artifact of this? I mean, there's that whole display, and we have the picture of the Jewish star superimposed on the character for friendship. But that seems to be almost contrived to me. I mean, do we really have, or in the past, was there really a friendship between the Jews and the Chinese? I wasn't aware of that.
Well, I think there's the one essay in the catalog that's about how did chow mein become a Jewish food or something. Talks a lot about relationship and about sort of parallels between immigrant experiences and tensions and things like that. I think Ayman Ye is the project there with her her Chinese Jewish blend. I mean, that's, I think, her artistic interpretation and thinking about what mahjong means as a Chinese American in a Jewish museum setting. That, I mean, that was sort of just her interpretation, you know.
Jews did go to China during the Holocaust. I don't know how.
That's true.
And there were Jewish communities.
Maybe that brings it into the present tense. She's bringing it into the present tense as a
Yeah.
contemporary artist.
So, you know, it's interesting. So I'm hearing a little bit of a buzz about the Holocaust, Shanghai Jews bringing mahjong over, what Carol had heard. And actually, I did read another article that said that's one theory. But again, I think Annalise said she hadn't.
It might not be about
There wasn't
mahjong,
a-
but it might be about the relationship between the two cultures.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make a lot of arguments about, you know, immigrant cultures, you know, really first generation and then like successive second generation. You know, there are a lot of things that you could say, and I would, Norma, urge you to go back and look at that that one essay in the catalog. It's on Live Finders.
I have a question. I'm just wondering if we know how things worked with live mahjong games going when it was in another museum. Was there engagement from the guests to the, I mean, would we want to bring people over to watch a game and one's going on? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it like activates it in a way.
Yeah.
People, especially people that don't know how to play mahjong like to watch if others
That
are
could be
playing.
distracting for your tour.
Or it could be a, you know, an added. I think we're going to have
Like
to
the
think about
pianist,
this,
maybe.
yeah, this exhibition in kind of a different way. This is like atmospheric. These objects are kind of evoking memories and telling a story, and it's not necessarily going to spend like 15 minutes in front of one work of art interpreting it.
Can they use money in their games when they're playing here?
No.
Oh, they're not? Is that written someplace?
Yeah, no money, no food.
Yeah, how do they play?
Yeah. leave your Jello at home. So does anybody want to try a tour stop out or try out anything that they're thinking of? Joan Hammer, did you just volunteer?
She's standing right there looking like
My experience with Maj?
No. You want to try out a tour stop? Or does anybody want to try out a tour stop?
Oh, well, I could do one, right here.
Great.
The one I live.
Okay.
let's get
I'm so glad I randomly called on her.
First thing is you have to talk like this. Could you please erase that?
Can I film you? Is it okay?
you have to talk like this, the way she talks.
The Catskills, which is where my mom spent the summer. My parents spent the summer. Does everybody know about the Catskills here? No. No? The Catskills are upstate New York, and it was a place where in the summers people went beginning of July and stayed till the end of August, and the women stayed during the week and the men came up on the weekends. And the women played mahjong all day. Every day, all day. Just a minute. The kids were in day camp.
Oh, yes.
Kids were all in day camp. God forbid one child was sick. Ah, it's a terrible day. This over here, I mean, the Catskills had big, huge places, big, kind of like the Fontainebleau and the Eden Rock and those kind of hotels. Plus, it also had something called Kuchelanes. A Kuchelane is a bungalow colony.
Is it what?
Bungalow colony. So I'm giving you information, I haven't asked you one question.
She knows that I'm going to talk to her about it afterwards.
Dirty Dancing is a good example. It's later. It's later. That's because it's later.
But for those of us that
Dirty Dancing would be a very good example. There's also another.
Marjorie Morningstar would be another example.
Did they have a Catskill thing on it?
Oh, yeah. It was all
I'm much too young for Marjorie Morningstar.
What socioeconomic group would you say the Catskills targeted? Was it middle or upper?
No, that's not true, because the bungalow colonies
Were less money?
were, yes, you came up there, you literally lived in a tiny little hut. You had water.
Yes.
In a little hut, and it was just, they still have those.
The Orthodox go
They go there. The big hotels were very different. They were,
Which hotel is this one? This one? Is it a Grossinger's or the Concord?
And all the comedians
This postcard.
started there.
Oh,
They
that's
got
not-
their start there.
that's not
All the
the
Jews like that.
That's Atlantic City.
Atlantic City, okay.
I sent a whole bunch of visuals on the Catskills.
You know what?
Does this group get
I
them?
put a bunch of them in a PowerPoint, so I can share. I put all the good ones
Okay.
in a PowerPoint.
It's a big, huge dining room, and it changed. This is during the war. After the war, it continued, and then it started to change. People didn't really go to the Catskills for the whole summer. People went away for the weekends, and
Country clubs.
yeah, it changed. People were starting to travel. but the heyday was the late 40s, 50s, 60s.
So Joan, one of the questions that one could ask here is why did it change? Do people have ideas as to
Why did it change?
Why it changed? I mean,
Yeah,
that would
it
be a
changed
question that you
because
could
there
ask
were
the
other
visitors,
options for
right,
people
yeah.
to do.
And it changed after the civil rights movement. That's really when it started to change.
Do you know the entertainment at these places was Buddy Hackett, Eddie Fisher, Mel Brooks. And a lot of the waiters were basketball players, like Wilt Chamberlain. You know, it was, I never saw him, but they used to come up for the summer because they used to play basketball.
And they were all cute.
So I want to pause us for a second, because since we're gathered around here, I want to think about two different things. I want to think about the proximity of this vitrine to this image, which is women in the Catskills playing mahjong. So that's one example where we could link the two. But then I also want to just really quickly focus on these objects. So if we were to look at these objects with the visitors, think about how these objects tell that story of the Catskills. How can we bring what Joan's telling us about the history of the Catskills into a connection with what we're looking at?
Well, over there you have, is that Tito Puente?
Yes.
Okay. So that was, I went to Cha-Cha there. I mean, there was dancing. If you remember Dirty Dancing, we didn't do that. But we had that, and those little things you look through, you know, that's where you took family pictures, and there was always a photographer around. And
So maybe asking, Joan, even before you talk about the Catskills, maybe gathering your group around and asking them what kind of picture this paints of what these resorts were like
if I was
through
touring
these
a regular
objects.
group,
Yeah,
if I was touring a regular group, I wouldn't give all that information about the Catskills.
you would not?
I'd start out and I'd say, take a look at everything that's in here. How is this different from the previous, what are these?
Totems.
Previous totems. What do you see? What's different about it? Why do you think they have all of that music and the maracas and whatever that stuff is? And take a look at the mahjong set. How is this mahjong set different than the other ones we've seen? This one's very fancy. I don't think it's real alligator, but it's very fancy.
But also the handle, the portability,
Yep.
this idea of the traveling.
Yep.
So people brought their own sets up to the Catskills, or the Catskills had sets for them when they stayed there?
It's a very personal thing.
So that's what I really want everybody to think about, is really thinking about in each totem, what story are these objects telling? Because we could just talk about mahjong and talk about the history, but why have the visuals?
Sticks. Why would there be swizzle sticks here?
Why do you think?
Because you've been doing the cha-cha.
Have the treatment before you did the cha.
You know, in the pictures that I sent pictures of the dining room.
Joan had a couple menus.
I sent the
Postcards.
menus, and you could order everything on it.
And those are in the gallery, I mean, in the docent room and on Yahoo.
No, it's right.
Joan, thank you for letting me put you on the spot. Okay.
John, the postcard was Atlantic City?
Atlantic City. What surprises me about Atlantic City, that doesn't seem to lend itself to
Yeah.
Because we have
mahjong.
everybody hoarding over.
I don't know.
Because it's a dragon.
Okay, I want to,
It's a dragon. The red swizzle stick is a dragon.
No, I'm not talking about
I know, but why is the postcard from Atlantic
hotels in
City?
Atlantic City.
Atlantic City is
Nobody went to
mentioned on
Atlantic
the
City to play
text.
popular hotels in Atlantic City taught mahjong classes.
Joan?
When did Atlantic City become a gambling place? Later.
Okay.
What's the question?
Atlanta City, Miami Beach, and the Catskills were all hotbeds of mahjong,
Okay.
according to the text.
One more thing, let's all come together for one more
Just
second.
because you didn't go there doesn't mean others didn't go there.
Thank you. Rini also pointed out just some logistics, which is just a good thing to keep in mind. I'm sorry I'm filming all this, I just want people who are not here to hear this. It's hard for all of us to crowd around one section one side of the totem. So really thinking about your group, where you're standing vis-a-vis the group, and maybe gathering them around. You might even have to do some of the teachery stuff, gathering everybody in a circle around the totem, and then asking the folks on that side to come to this side. You're just orchestrating a little bit of a rotation.
Yeah,
Because the image, the artwork is really big on the walls,
Yeah,
but there's a
I
little bit
agree,
of a...
Because sometimes when you stand right in front of that thing, you can't see a thing. I agree.
Sometimes I found when you're dealing with cases, it's sometimes nice when you look on the wall and you talk, like, I'm noticing here all the fashion stuff, like the hat, it looks very Chinese, and then, like, it's not just the game, but then the style of the table, like, it's a whole look, it's a whole feel doing mahjong, right? And then I could talk about this, and then I could say look for, and I could name some of the objects in there before we walk over, and that usually gets people to go over there instead of staying here. If I kind of advertise what they're about to see and tell them what to look for, it just kind of seduces them over there.
Kochele?
Yeah.
It's actually, it says it's cottages, so maybe that's a nice word. But cottages, I mean, they didn't just have it in the Catskills, they had it in Peekskill, New York, and some of the other Poconos, yeah.
There's a copy, a postcard from a bungalow colony in the visual aids. And a postcard from the Grossinger's dining room, so you can see kind of the spectrum. Other questions, thoughts, anything else?
Look how the tiles have changed. How
Just
yellow they got.
for the movie Dirty Dancing, I actually watched it last night, and it like perfectly depicts the Catskills and the Catskills Jewishness. I never really noticed it about that movie, but it really has that in there, and it's a good movie.
There are also clips on YouTube from the Dirty Dancing, just the dance that they do together.
Oh.
I never saw anyone in the Catskills do that.
Yeah. Jean, thank you.
Thank you.